Sure.
PKN 353. A lot of episodes for a sub show.
Yes.
It's
going well.
Every so often I think, I'm like, what? PKN's had more episodes than most podcasts last.
Losers.
That's true. Those fucking losers.
No work. No work
Everybody
ethic.
has a podcast now.
It's today's youth.
Speaking of today's youth, I mean, we're all different ages. Kyle, you're only like 4.5 years older. So were you also really into like Jackass and Wild Boys in
Dude,
the early
I was
2000s
so into
and
Jackass.
2000s?
I was more into Jackass than anyone you know.
Good.
So,
because
like-
it lined up for you even better than for me, because like when they got huge, I was still like 12. You were like at the age where you could drive and cause havoc.
Yeah, see, I got really into it. I wasn't into Can't Kill Yourself, like you know, the thing that Johnny Knoxville was doing before, and I wasn't into that magazine shit that he was doing or the skateboarding stuff that Bam was doing. That's definitely before my time. But I was into Jackass from the very beginning when it was on MTV, when it was a TV show. Like I fucking loved it. I was like, holy shit, these guys just don't give a fuck. And for one of my projects in 9th grade, I made a Jackass video. Like we had to make a video presentation, and so we did Jackass. And my friend filmed me like jumping into bushes and driving bicycles down really steep hills and just hurting myself in general, electrocuting myself, that sort of thing.
Did you get a good grade?
I broke the teacher's camera accidentally, and she was incredibly angry. It was a rather expensive camera for the year 2001, and so no good grade. But yeah, super into it. And when the movie came out, me and all my friends were just ecstatic. And so like I was 16. That was like you said, perfect timing. So I can drive to the movie theater. Like forget driving around doing havoc. Like I didn't do that. I didn't like go like try to recreate my stuff from Jackass when I was 16. But we went to the movies. We went to that opening day, like right after school. And there were so many people there that one of my friends had to sit in the aisle. Like one of my friends didn't get a chair, but they sold him a ticket anyway, and he sat on the floor and watched. And I had never laughed so hard. I had never laughed so hard or had so much fun as like opening day of Jackass the movie. It was incredible. And then like over the years, I guess like my love for it has waned. I definitely really enjoy Jackass 2. Actually, I think I enjoyed it more.
Jackass 2 might be the peak of Jackass.
I think Jackass 2 is the peak because they made so much money from Jackass 1 that they really turned loose on the budget. And although I can't remember, one of the greatest scenes ever in Jackass, and I can't remember if it's Jackass 1 or 2, but it's the beginning. It's the beginning of the episode, of the movie, when they're coming down that hill in that enormous shopping cart with the epic music, like dun, dun,
that's the first
dun,
one. Yeah.
dun. And there's smoke and there's cannons and most of them are in their underwear and they're just like ready to ride. And the thing is, like, they're amateurs at this still. Like Jeff Tremaine, who's making it, still an amateur filmmaker at this point. They filmed it in sequence. So the big opening scene that requires every member of the team to be doing something stupid, they filmed it first rather than, of course, going, all right, here's that thing Johnny does. We'll have him film it. Yeah, Johnny has to jump a motorcycle. So this way, at least, like, we're only risking Johnny in this. And then we'll do the thing with Steve. No. Everybody get on the most dangerous thing. We're going down the hill. And I can't remember which one of them broke their ankle. It might have been Johnny, but one of them breaks their ankle like the first day. And so it kind of hampered filming that going forward. But like right from then, you're just like, holy shit, they've really stepped their game up. I think there's a bull. Like they have like a bunch of bulls like running through like a fake town. And a couple of them clearly get mauled by the bulls. It's great.
Yeah, I might be mixing it up. Like all the intros are so funny for the Jackass movies. But yeah, I like how and you think it's going to be fake. Like you see a bull like running at Johnny Knoxville and then it hits him up in the air and you're like, "Oh, that's a real bull." They hit him up in the air. And then you like see the Wee Man scene and they intentionally bring in like a dwarf bull to go after the midget. And so he's getting bucked by it. It's like I'm jealous of you because I wasn't old enough and my parents wouldn't take me to see Jackass because it came out, like 2002 or something. So I had to wait until it came on TV, like And a friend was like, "Oh, fucking the Jackass movie came out on TV. Let's have a sleepover and we'll all watch it tonight when it comes on at
Jackass
11."
did not hit me at the right time, so I have a very different view of it. I like some of the stuff I thought was really cool. Johnny Knoxville actually does have some skateboard skills, and I think he has some motocross skills too, and I like that. You don't have to be world class for me to like your stuff. A little, you think? Well, he's probably
think maybe
he has to forever use a catheter because of his poor motocross skills.
Well, I would too
Apparently,
if I did
that's a
half the
myth.
shit.
It was only 3 years following the accident.
Okay.
And yeah.
But 80% of Jackass, based on my shoddy recollection, is just fucking stupid. I can. Did they do a thing where they both sat there and threw like baseballs at each other's nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is
That's funny.
It's not funny. It's not
that's not funny.
entertaining. It's not
No, I don't like
skilled.
that.
I would rather wait at the DMV than watch a stupid fucking scene like that. It is the most untalented, uninventive, unimaginative, boring piece of content that you can make. It's just hurting each. Like
14-year-old me was laughing so hard at that.
See, 14-year-old me might have
I
also.
somewhat agree with you. So for the movie, there wasn't a lot of that, of just like sitting across from each other throwing baseballs.
Yeah, that's more the early TV show where they had
That's
no budget.
early TV show stuff with no budget.
Okay.
For the movie, the worst stuff in the movie, the stuff that I was just like, well, come on, was when they're just like paper cutting the webbing of their fingers and stuff like that. Like anything like that, it to me is just, we're wasting our time here, boys.
There's no payoff, and it's so painful. It's like, put this to the side.
Here's what I like better. Early X Games stuff, right? Now, when people do these motocross X Games things, like, they do freestyle tricks and jumps and stuff. I haven't watched it in ages. They know that they can do it. They do these firsts in competition, but they're not firsts. They've done this in practice all season long in the Of course, now, it didn't used to be like that. It used to be they didn't have foam pits to practice this shit. They were literally like, you know what? I've never done this before. But the X Games is cool because they have surgeons and ambulances right here, and you can try new things. And they would, using that as a rationale. And these were literally the first time they ever did these moves at the X Games because they had medical staff. I was listening to Brian Deegan's X Game competitor talk about it, old school.
I think he's a liar. I think Brian Deegan is a bigger liar than our last guest.
Wait, can we transition to that? That was a great.
Oh, and he goes full.
Oh yeah, look, I grew up in the country. I'm sure none of you can, even imagine what that's like. But in the country, sometimes your dad stabs you. And you just go out to the fort and you sew it up with fishing line. That's what 12-year-olds in the country do. You city boys, you don't know anything about that. I mean,
city slicker, Kyle.
You city slickers.
You weren't even
wouldn't know anything
preparing
about
yourself in the woods as a tween.
Also, when I was a kid, there was a guy trying to rob my mom, and I stepped in, and the guy pulled out a pistol and he shot me. And I've got a scar here somewhere. The scar is actually right next to where my dad stabbed me. I won't show you either of those scars, though.
I won't show you. Also, when I was out there sewing myself together, this hot woman with huge tits came over and
Big
we
melons.
fucked. She's from another town. She's
from Canada.
She'll never be back.
She goes to another school.
Dude,
Yeah.
so I spent a lot of time during the show, usually like looking for the next topic or whatever. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not, but I'm ready. And so I'm like surfing the web, like looking for the next thing, and I hear, none of this happened. None of this happened. This is just not a true story. How old were you when you went off into the woods and sewed yourself up Rambo style? And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Where was I? But I like it. I like that you did it. Also, you said something I was thinking in the early part of the show, which was like, you're a professional voice actor, right? Would you talk into your mic? Because he was like 3 feet from his mic. And for people that don't know, before the show, we do like a sound check, right? And it'll be like sound check, 1, 2, 3, sound check. I'm like, all right, you sound good. Okay, so I'll be doing the rest of the show from over here.
Yeah, it's like, and Woody's sensitive about that, and I don't blame him for being so, because there's a lot of people only listen to this audio, and so they listen to the audio and it's shit, and they're like, come on, Woody. Get your shit together.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's this guy who's a voice actor as his like, that's why he's here. He's the voice of that Call of Duty guy, Woods or whatever. And it's like, he should be accustomed to using a microphone. Look, I'm not trying to shit on our former guest. Yes. I enjoyed him.
I actually thought it was a good show.
Him. I thought it was a great show.
I think a lot of
and I think like leading up to it, I was kind of like, what are we gonna do with a voice actor from Call of Duty? I hope he does more than that because we don't play a lot of Call of Duty here anymore. It's not really our thing. We're all still into gaming, but I mean, my game right now is like Civilization 5, and Taylor's really into Magic.
You know when
and
he won
Woody's
me
into
over?
the game of life.
Dude, 2.5, 3 minutes into the show, I accused him of stealing valor for playing a soldier in a video game.
Great bit.
He loved it. He was good with it. Like he totally. I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe this guy's gonna fit in just fine. So
I agreed. I felt like each of us made some kind of a joke with him or at his expense that was hilarious. Like I meant to say it after the show, but I think we were in a hurry to leave. Excuse me, I just burped into my camera.
He was ready to go
and my microphone. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to
You're
do
all
that.
right.
I didn't even.
But I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good show, and I don't mean to shit on him as a person or as a guest. I think some people don't have any like I don't know, common sense or social skills, and when you say like one bad thing about somebody, they think that you immediately hate them or something.
Your worst
I
enemy.
like that guy, and I liked him as a guest, and I would probably want him back again, especially if he ever does anything else, if he voices the next Call of Duty or something like that. So all that being said, it was funny to like go back and forth with him. He didn't give a fuck about what I said or what any of us said. He had a good time.
I agree.
Yeah.
He
even said he did.
If you missed the last show, what number was it? Do we know? It's
Like 8,972, I think.
544. At 544
Oh,
was
it felt like more.
good. Let me double check. Yeah, it's 544. Anyway, somehow I segued us off into that, but it was fun. I like that guy.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I liked him a lot. But back to the Jackass thing. Yeah, I didn't like when they literally tortured themselves. And
You didn't like the riot control test where they stand in front of that.
That I liked.
See, that's like torturous. That's
no.
pretty rough.
I'm talking about like when like Steve-O would like pour hot sauce into his eyeballs, or when he would see. This is one of the best bits ever.
Or did you see like when Steve-O allowed the Indian guy to put the leech on his bare eyeball?
Don't like that. I didn't like
I didn't care for that at all.
Gross stuff where the Indian guys with he had the fingernails that he'd been growing for like 80
It's a
years.
Miller time.
It's Miller time.
It's a Miller time.
And he pours a Miller Lite down like the length of his rotten fingernails into Steve-O's mouth, and Steve-O drinks it until he vomits. That being said, I did enjoy the urban pole vaulting, where Steve-O at one point pole vaults into this ravine of like tepid water that had a dead cat in it. And like that's a gross thing, but it's also kind of a stunt at the same time. So that like meets my level of funny. Like I like stunts. I especially like the big stunts. Like when there's rocketry involved. Like when they had like this. They had a rocket one time that like jumped a ramp over a lake, and it was clearly poorly done because they show it in slow motion afterwards, and one of the rocket boosters explodes and goes through they made a cartoon rocket like Looney Tunes. But on the inside is real rocketry. Like there are rockets in there. And one of the rockets tears loose from whatever it's attached to and explodes through the Looney Tunes rocket right near whoever's leg was strapped to it. It may have been Johnny. And you see it like make this hole that's like 2.5 inches wide right next to his leg and just keep going. I like that shit. I like the shit with like, it's like, damn, that was dangerous. He could have died there. That was so stupid of him to do.
I like it. I really want an element of not knowing how it's going to work out.
Yes.
Right? And it can be skill based. I think that might be my favorite. But it also just like if you're going to drive a shopping cart down a really steep hill, that's not really skill based. You're rolling the dice on that one. I don't think Johnny Knoxville is any better at shopping cart rolling than I am. But
Woody, have you seen this one? This is right up your alley then. So basically, this is the one that's it's bungee jump. So basically, and even leading up to the bit, Bam is like, this is before I brought up Jackass because I wanted to talk about like Bam's fucking depressing now, but like Bam was like, I get ideas all the time for Jackass and I don't like writing them down, so I just draw a picture of it and send it in fax machine. It's just a picture of Preston, who's the big fat guy, with a bungee cord tied to him, and then the other side tied to Wee Man. And so they want, and they're over a pier, they want Wee Man to jump off and then bungee jump from Preston and see how it goes. And what ends up happening, if you're watching, is Wee Man goes down, and then he pulls Preston down, and the fat one hits the ground, the water so fast that he actually pulls Wee Man like double speed falling. And then you can see them like come back up, and they hate it. They're like, that was so not worth it.
It's like a really interesting physics experiment, but they did it with humans instead of like parabola or rubber bands. They just took two humans.
You can hear them like floating at the bottom because they're mic'd up. Preston like, did I pull you down, man? He's like, hell yeah, dude, you pulled me right down.
He's going so fast.
See, stuff like that is so fucking funny.
That one's good. That one. See, that's this one? Best of them. Go ahead.
Remember when Steve-O gets inside of a porta potty and they've got two cranes with bungee cords coming down to it, and it's under enormous tension, but also secured to the ground. And at the last minute, they pull the supports that are holding it to the ground loose, and it's launched into the air with him on the inside.
But have you mentioned what's inside with him?
Oh, so much shit.
It's filled with dog shit.
Feces.
So as soon as he gets to the precipice, the peak, all the dog shit floats up like he's in space and surrounds him.
It's like Homer in outer space with the chips floating around and he's eating them, but it's shit. It's shit everywhere.
Careful, they're ruffled. Yeah.
and they were kind enough to give him nose plugs because like I feel like they tried this once with like nobody in there, and they saw how much shit was flying around. look. It's hard to get a grasp. I'm watching it. It's hard at 27 seconds to like really understand how fast he is being launched into the air.
Oh yeah,
that is really fast.
If you want to watch it, it's called the Poo Cocktail Supreme.
Yeah.
From him. But yeah, this is the best kind of shit from Jackass. Like, I liked when they had enough budget to do insane shit like this, but there was something endearing about like the original one where like you were saying, urban pole vaulting. It's just Steve-O clearly wasted and on cocaine, just like ruining people's volleyball games at a public beach by pole vaulting over it in the middle of playing. It's just so funny. So, but anyway, so all of Jackass brings me so much joy. Once every year and a half, I just watch like all of them over the course of a day or two, and it's hilarious. Brings me back. But I got on like a YouTube deep dive recently because Jackass 4 is coming out, and they got rid of Bam. Bam is not invited to be a part of Jackass 4 because he is so off the rails and so like such an alcoholic. Apparently his big things are like Adderall and alcohol. Like he's hardcore addicts for both of those. And
what's he look like?
He's like
he
looks like sickly. Like he's gained a ton of weight.
Have you ever seen his fingers with the rings?
Yeah, Bam Margera. And then, his fingers look like they're too big for the rings now because he's gained so much weight.
They have been for a decade. Like, those rings are permanently on his hand because he wore tight rings and his hands are so swollen that, like, the rings are just stuck there. And he wears a lot of rings. So it's like, I'm surprised he hasn't lost fingers because of it. It's really gross.
I was apparently, like, well, Johnny Knoxville, I was watching some interviews with him. Like, him and Steve-O kind of have the position of, like, Steve-O had some really, really heartbreaking thing where he's like in the early 2000s, man, like, I was so jealous of Bam. He was younger than me. He was better at skateboarding. I thought he was funnier than me. He was so famous. I remember he went and he was going to buy a Lambo. He decided he was going to buy both Lambos. I had no money in my bank account. I was like, this guy is so awesome. And I was so jealous of him. And, I told Bam just, a couple months ago, I want to be jealous of him again. I want to be able to be jealous of you again, man. Like, you have everything that you at your disposal. And and really what it seems to be is ever since Ryan Dunn died in 2011, like, he has taken a huge, like, leap off with alcohol and Adderall. Or based on the interviews, alcohol and Adderall seem to be the two big things. Probably very dangerous to combine, I would imagine.
I would think so.
But yeah, he's like, and Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O are, obviously it's PR, but they're, talking about their friends. So I believe them, being like, we just want him to get better. So it wasn't the best for him to come around and be around all of us and do that. Most of those guys are sober now. Like, most of them, like, used up all of their fun days in their 20s, and now they're like hardcore sober, like Steve-O and Knoxville, or I guess Knoxville isn't. But and then Bam has these like unhinged Instagram videos where he's like, these guys, I'm too jackass for jackass. They don't want me on there. Fuck them. Knoxville's a fucking snake. Steve-O, I like Steve-O. Rob, I like Rob. Preston and Wee Man, I like them. Tremaine, I don't know yet. And then other like clips, he'd be like, fuck you, Tremaine. Fuck you, just because you want to give me $5 million every time. You kept talking about every movie he makes $5 million or something. Like, he's clearly just wasted and on pills. And it's at one point he's like saying like, fuck you, Knoxville, you're a fucking snake, dude, you're a snake. Like, and then he just like is in his own bathroom. He just starts like, like on Instagram. Like he just starts like vomiting. You can't see it, but like you hear him like, and he just looks like death warmed over.
Yeah.
He looks horrible.
I remember seeing him.
Really sad to see.
I remember seeing him on Howard Stern with the hottest woman you've ever seen in your life. Like he always had like a gorgeous woman with him, and was just living this absurd lifestyle. I mean, he had his own TV show. Yeah. None of them had their own TV shows. He had his own TV show. And
he was the money man for the whole first few years.
And it was good. Bam was like the famous guy. Bam was the famous guy because of his skateboarding. Like, and he's the most talented of them all. Like his
most talented, I can believe. Knoxville was always the famous guy in my mind.
He was famous from Jackass, though. Like Jackass made him famous. Bam was famous from day one. Like he was the famous guy on the TV show Jackass. It was like kids who were like into skateboarding and stuff were like, that's Bam Margera. He's on this crazy show.
I own his shoes. I have his skateboard deck.
Yeah.
Like he's very loaded.
He's incredibly talented skateboarder, or at least he was. I'm sure he can still do it.
Why? Jackass has a bunch of fuck ups on it, right? Now let's agree they mostly cleaned up their act, but you don't like most people don't have a low as Steve-O's. What was it about that show that gave most people lows?
It's because of the positive reinforcement for negative actions in both monetarily and fame, right? Like people cheer when you hurt yourself, and so you get into this sort of thing of like, yeah, I hurt myself for a living. It's what people like about me. People love when I hurt myself.
Self-destructive.
And it's just reinforcing the self-destructive part of their brains. Plus, like substance abuse and the partying was just second nature to all of them anyway, it seemed like. And, they're also like 25 to 30 or something like that, making $5 million, $10 million a movie. And their movies are them going and having fun with their friends and getting drunk and wasted all the time and drinking horse cum. I'll say this. I did enjoy when they drank the horse cum. I
think that's when Chris Pontius is like, if I do this, I get an out on something in the future.
And I like that. I like hearing that, like the negotiation, because I can imagine myself being in the same situation, being like, all right, I'll drink the horse cum, but can I get out of something I want in the future? Right. Because you guys are always coming up with something like
I know the next event is balloon no jumping without parachutes.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my out.
Yeah, I know that next time we're going to jump off a building and try to land asshole first onto a pole. So
that's what I don't want to do. Dude, apparently some of the
they call it the dildo landing, and I don't want to do that.
I was reading this article, and it was like talking about how for the third movie they had to go and insure every event independently because otherwise it would have been impossible. And so like they were like, yeah, we had so many good ideas. We were gonna have Pontius dress up like a Pentecostal guy and go in and handle dangerous snakes, but it was gonna cost $5 million to insure it, so we decided not to. It's like, okay, instead Pontius, we're gonna. Can you imagine that? And that clearly because Pontius also plays Satan in there, and he hurt himself in the Satan bit because they put him in what looked like a under construction area in like San Francisco, and he's like standing on like a springboard, and he's in a Satan suit and holding a sign that says "Keep God out of California," and then it launches him out of it, but it launches him way too high, and he just cracks his head on the pavement, and so he gets up clearly concussed, like "Keep God out of California," like just he's, and then
it's so bizarre. I love that bit. It's so literally funny. Like I'm just going to reiterate what you just said, but the way I remember it, like he's dressed up as the devil. Like you have to imagine, like not wearing like horns. He's got a full Satan costume on, and they launch him out of underneath like the streets of L.A. like he gets like launched into being as far as people are concerned, and there's rubble and smoke. And it's like Satan has come to Earth, and he immediately goes into like holding that sign that says "Keep God out of California" or some shit, and like people are just like, "What the fuck?" It's great. I did like the stuff that they would do where it was about being really weird in public and just getting reactions. So there's the one where Preston is chasing Wee Man, or maybe vice versa, but they're chasing each other like in their underwear through the streets. And you get these people's reaction of like, oh, that was weird. And then out of nowhere, like 40 more midgets come around the corner and they're also chasing them. And it's just like, I've never seen more than one midget at a time. You know, like if you've
had to do that in
who
India.
here has ever seen more than one midget at a time, unless they were at like a midget convention or something
Only
like
on
that.
TV. Yeah.
Only on TV. How many midgets have you actually seen in RL, right?
Not that many. It must
Not that
be
many.
incredibly rare.
I mean, I
Less
figure
than
it's good
5.
luck. It's like they're like leprechauns. Like it's got to be good luck.
Yeah. Well, how
I'll
many?
have to ask him.
How many people are?
Well, I always go pluck a little of their hair out.
Are you a leprechaun? I've heard your cock.
I just start shaking them furiously. Where's the gold, you little fuck? They love it.
Yeah. So I'll watch Jackass 4, but we'll see.
I don't know, man.
They're like Johnny Knoxville's 50 years old.
Yeah, let me make a
looks good.
prediction.
He
For
does look good.
50.
He looks pretty good for 50. I'll make a prediction though. I think someone's going to get seriously injured this time because like when you're 20, you can just jump out of a building and just I don't know, you just roll out of it. Looks like your bones are a little more flexible. At 50, I mean, look at Woody. Look at Woody's hand.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Dude,
Woody's fragile.
They talk about that in paragliding a lot. Like, I've seen it myself. Like, some stuff like this, I don't know, like, what would have happened to young me? I think I would have healed faster. That would have happened. I don't know if I would have avoided injury. But sometimes people do. Like, just an athletic 22-year-old drops from 12 feet and shakes it off. Whereas a 50-year-old, even if he also, like, has his body fat in check and is kind of active, doesn't, like, he's broken a rib, and that 20-year-old guy didn't.
He never walks again.
I was landing next to a lake, and there were rocks on the ground, and they were like the size of human heads, right? They kind of wobbly and loose. And I landed. I was okay, but I was kind of klutzy, and it occurred to me, like, I think 18-year-old me with the same skill set is just like ballet dancer across that shit. Like not a problem. Lifeguard Woody just handles that. 50-year-old Woody, I'm 48, but work with me. Is just not quite as graceful, a little more klutzy by comparison to where I was. Like, that's just, you don't get to stay young. You can be the best 50 possible, but you can't be 20.
Steve-O even mentioned that in the article. He's like, we try to keep it really similar to what we've always done. It's just we need to be very aware of the fact that our bones break way easier, and now it doesn't take as much to knock us unconscious. And we stay unconscious. And he said, plus we stay unconscious longer, which means that like they're still getting knocked unconscious.
He's gathering information most people don't have through experience. I
like that. Plus, now we just stay knocked out for... well, until the paramedics get there and usually revive us.
Steve-O's stories about a drug addiction and everything and overcoming it, it is so interesting. Like he was down so bad with like whippets. Like it wasn't, I don't even
remember the AIDS cocaine he snorted?
Yeah, I remember that. He snorted cocaine with AIDS blood on it.
Poor choices.
Not a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that gives you AIDS, but
it doesn't. But
clearly,
but would you roll those dice?
No,
like of course not.
No, of course not. But like, were those are his things based on the interviews I've watched, like whippets and cocaine, right?
Enormous amounts of whippets, cocaine, lots of alcohol, and
he didn't mention that one as much. I was wondering.
And Adderall. Oh well, I don't. He doesn't remember because of the alcohol and the memory loss.
But he was talking about Johnny Knoxville was talking about like. Or no, it was either him or Steve-O. Like the last time I talked to Ryan Dunn was on Guy Fieri's show called like In It to Win It or A Minute to Win It or something. And like I was Steve-O, and Steve-O was like, he was like the, getting ready for it, and like you have to do these little like stupid things like stack dice or like shuffle cards or like toss a straw into a cup, like little stupid games. And he was like, yeah, and I remember this was just shortly before he like died, and I just look over at him, and he's just shaking so much before the show he can't even like do these simple little like goofy tasks like tossing a straw in. And he just looked at me and was like, I gotta go have a few drinks, man. I'm an alcoholic. I gotta be able to do this show. Like I can't be shaken on TV. And apparently that was very shortly before he died from obviously the car accident.
Yeah. You know, it's pretty sad. Ryan wasn't one of my favorites. I liked him.
He wasn't one of my favorites, but he was funny.
He was funny. And you know, he was in some of the better bits, but still, like it sucked when he died, because you know it's part of the show dying, you know, and it's, I don't know, I can't believe that they're making another one. Did you say it's 5?
Jackass 4.
4. Okay, I was gonna say, did I miss one?
Really, it's like way more, because they made Jackass 1, then they made like Jackass 1.5, and
well, that's just like leftover
2.5.
footage.
But they have like whole movies of extra footage.
Yeah, they film so much stuff for every movie that, you know, then there's an editing process and stuff goes. I mean, it's a lot of them hurting themselves and being weird and traveling around. The travel is one of the cooler parts, one of the more attractive parts of what they do. Because like sometimes they're just, yeah, we're in Tampa and I'm gonna ruin my life. But sometimes it's like, we're in Japan, or you know, like they would travel around a good bit to like exotic locations, it seemed, or India, you know, for that one time. I liked that.
Ryan Dunn always had, you know, the bit that made me laugh probably the hardest in the first movie was Ryan Dunn's, where he put the toy car in the condom and then he shoved the toy car up his ass.
Yeah.
And then he went to the proctologist, like corner office, with that Indian guy and was like, I was just partying with my friends. I don't know what happened. And then he like brings it out and it's just a picture of a car in his rectum.
They x-ray him. They x-ray him.
And Ryan Dunn's just like, so I don't know how I could have eaten that or anything. And the guy's like, no, you did not eat this. This
you
was
did not eat this.
Ass, you know? And then he like goes to him and he's like, listen to me. You don't tell anyone about this. You go home, you take this medicine, you get rid of it. You don't tell anyone. All right?
Did the doctor not know he was on camera?
I don't know if they were doing something.
Right.
It was just it was just like there was one guy there. Like yeah, this is my friend. You know, like he sort of explained the camera as like, this is my friend. Like and it wasn't like they don't bring like a fucking like
the shoulder mounted
red cam or something like that. He's just like, yeah, this is my friend. He's like going and record. Speaking of that, I like the hidden camera stuff. I liked when Johnny rented the car and then took it to a demolition derby. Then tries to return it. And the guy's like, we're not taking that back. He's like, yes, you are. And he like runs away after he leaves the car.
Did he buy insurance?
That was the part of contention. That was I think it was like, there was something about that. That was part of the bit, like whether he bought the insurance or not. Maybe when he was renting it, and they asked him, he was like, "Oh yeah, give me all the insurance," or something like that. Because like, not only do you take it to a demolition derby, demolition derbies don't just have regular cars in them. They like prep them first. They put roll cages in them and like knock all the glass out, because you don't want glass flying in your eyes.
This makes sense, but I didn't think of that.
So it went through this whole process of being utterly destroyed. Like, they took it into a garage and they play rock music while they're knocking the windows out and spray painting like numbers on the side, and like then they go race it, or whatever you call that, with like actual demolition derby competitors, people who do this shit for a living, and he's in like a Ford Escort with a 3 written on the side. Everybody else is in like big old 1995 like Fords and stuff, just slamming the fuck out of him.
this
is rent-a-car crash up derby.
Rental car crash up derby. Yeah, and then like they continue with stuff like that, like, and then even when they get more money, he just dresses up like an old guy and rides.
Oh, the old guy stuff is good.
It's great. We can stop regaling ourselves with tales of Jackass.
It's good, man.
I'm watching it with the audio off. Are they concerned for his safety, or are they like, you dick, when he crashes through the window and hits the other bike?
They initially are like, oh my god, and then like as people are deciding what to do, he picks it back up and drives away again. People, it's just you don't know how to handle an old guy who's doing that.
Yeah.
You can't yell at him because he just goes, oh, and then it shows outside, just boom, just thousands of dollars of damage.
Yeah, the old guy bit is interesting because, like you say, people react a lot differently
Give
to
a
an old
certain
guy.
level of respect and
worry
deference.
for them, concern.
Okay, yeah.
You know, when like an old guy falls, you're like, ooh, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Forget 50 and having a fall. This guy looks 80 and he's falling hard. So they're like, oh no, his hip. And he's just getting back up and going again. It's great.
Yeah, this is great. I need to watch Jackass again. I love like the one where they actually called out the old man is when he had like an 18-year-old woman with him who he said was his granddaughter, like loudly, and then his supposed to be old woman wife walks away in public, and then he just starts like making out and groping his granddaughter's like ass and tits. And this black guy's like, what are you doing? That's your granddaughter. He's like, shut up, don't let her grandma find out about this. And he's,
You gonna rat me out?
yeah, you gonna rat me out? And he comes out and says it, and the woman's wife is like, again? Oh, you're
in my day, you wouldn't be on this bus. That was he said that.
something like that.
In my day, you'd be sitting back there. You wouldn't even be part of this. That would have been a good one to drop.
I'm sure he thought of it. So I'll give it a go when it comes out. I don't know when it is coming out, but not having Bam in there is going to be a little weird, a little depressing. But also, if Bam is going to be the way he is now, it's depressing to like go to his Instagram. It's depressing.
Oh,
Like,
I
just
don't want to
seeing
see. I feel bad. I'm shocked that he couldn't pull it together for this because that's
Apparently,
one
he did
thing
a
that
90-day rehab, and they still and he didn't stop enough to not do it. Like, and he was reading off like 15 different medications on his Instagram that they put him on for like his regimen or whatever.
probably
and
antipsychotics and anti-seizure medications and all sorts of nonsense.
It was a list of drugs so long, it's like, oh, this can't be a good replacement. Like, for drugs, there's got to be less.
In the past, they've always like pulled their lives together enough to get another paycheck. It's like, hey, you guys, it's time to film another Jackass movie. I know we do these every 2.5 years. Just pull it together. Pull it together for the next 4 to 6 months. You're gonna cash in, make $5 or $8 million. You're good for the next 2.5, 3 years. You can go right back into just drinking and drugging yourself to death. But you got to clean it up. All right, just enough to be able to pole vault into
People
sewage.
do that all the time in Hollywood, but it's usually they go from normal to extreme, right? Like I don't know, the best example is that Indian comedian who played. Derek's done a couple like Natty or
The guy
Nots
from The
on.
Eternals.
Yeah. I'm never gonna get his name, but he looks amazing.
No, who is? He doesn't
But-
know his fucking name.
But you could take like Chris Hemsworth, I think.
Hemsworth, yeah.
Chris Hemsworth goes from just good-looking guy to super guy for 6 months and then backs off. The guy that played Tarzan and also was in that Vampire Blood.
Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah. He pulled it together for 6-9 months, got in shape, did his role.
I disagree with you on the Hemsworth thing. Hemsworth just goes, he's just full on. He's just full on forever now. He doesn't back off anymore. He's like, yeah, so I played the God of Thunder. So for my next role, I'm going to play Hulk Hogan. So we've really got to bulk things up. And it's just like, wait.
down.
Maybe you should play an accountant one year so you can take a little time off. Oh no, next year is really hard. I'm playing another god, but a completely different one. A much more buff god. It's just every time
I feel like
he
you're
goes,
forgetting what he looked like in the most recent movie.
well, that wasn't real.
I know. But I do think that he didn't... he actually did back off probably in real life, like in terms of how hard he was pushing it. You don't think so?
I don't think
Maybe
he
I'm
did.
wrong. I thought he did take off seasons, but I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say you're wrong.
He hasn't taken an off season since like
Yes.
since Endgame. There's been no off
It
season.
seems
They're
like
just-
he has been cranking it. I don't know if he's been filming or just getting ready for filming, because with the
Both, I
movie
think.
situation the way it is now, there are movies in the can that they're not releasing.
Yeah.
So
I think he's
Eternals
filming
is
God
filmed,
of-
I think.
That's cool. I don't know much about the Eternals, like as a property, but I watched the trailer and man, they got a pretty damn good cast.
Can I jump in?
Angelina Jolie. Yeah, go ahead.
It used to be something like the Eternals wouldn't excite me. because like I don't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy are. This one looks stupid, and then it's good. Now I'm like, shit, Marvel can stamp their stamp on anything, and I'll give it a try.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. What I gathered from the 2.5-minute trailer I watched was that like these beings have been guiding humanity since the beginning of time, but staying out of our affairs, and they're essentially godlike super beings. And Rob Stark is one of them, and Angelina Jolie is one of them, and Indian guy whose name is unpronounceable is one of them, who went on that crazy steroid binge for the last 2 years, getting incredibly ripped. And there's like, I don't know, 8 or 9 of them or something like that.
When you said Rob Stark was one of them, I'm like, man, must be Tony Stark's dad, I guess.
There was a funny, I don't know if you watched the trailer, but there's a funny bit in there where they're all like having dinner around a table, and someone says, so now that Iron Man is gone and Captain America is gone, who's going to lead the Avengers? And Rob Stark goes, I could lead them. And then they all just kind of crack up and start laughing together. But for a moment, I was like, ooh, yeah? I kind of like that idea. All right. Yeah,
is it going to be a Hawk dude? What's his? Is it Hawkman? Is that his name? Is it just as simple as Hawkman and I'm complicating it?
Well, that's terrible.
I don't know who Hawkman is.
He's the new Captain America.
Falcon.
The Falcon.
He's Falcon. Yeah,
Falcon,
he's Falcon.
yes. Yeah. In the show, they make it very clear that he's not Black Falcon. He's just Falcon. Yeah. And somehow I never thought of him as Black Falcon until he's like, don't call me Black Falcon. Black Falcon's not me, not Black Falcon, just Falcon, not Black Falcon. And it's like, you have drilled Black Falcon into my head. I can't get it out now. It wasn't there.
Is Black Falcon a different hero?
No, he just doesn't want to be like race baited. Like he doesn't want to be like, he the Black Falcon. That's him. Like he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Like
is his outfit like jet black?
No, it's all red and
that
gold.
That would be funny if it's just totally black.
It looks like Iron
murdered
Man
out.
kind of in Falcon form.
Yeah, it's all flashy, and by the end, he becomes Iron Man. So he's all red, white, and blue with wings
Captain
and
America,
shit.
he meant.
Yes, I did mean that. He becomes Captain America, and but yeah, there's a lot of racial stuff going on in this in that TV show, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Because there's even a scene. Right. There's even a scene where, and I didn't mind it because, I mean, shit, it is kind of true mostly. It's not all propaganda, some of it is. But there's that scene where the Falcon and Winter Soldier are having like an argument in the street. Not like in New York or anything. They're in like some little side street in a town. And the cops pull up and they immediately ask the Winter Soldier if this man's bothering him. They're like, sir, are you okay? Is this guy bothering you? Sir, can we see some ID? Like to the black guy. And meanwhile, it was a white guy and a black guy like having like a mildly heated argument in the street. Like they easily could have been arguing over like DC
Sports.
Marvel. Like, no way, Superman's he's the best. Like it was just like that kind of argument. Like, and the cops are just like hands on guns. Like, sir, is this guy bothering you? Is that Negro getting in your face, sir? Let me see some ID, son. Hey boy, come on. Like it's getting real.
Yeah.
It's getting real racial real quick, and you can tell that like it's a good thing everybody here has superpowers, or this guy might get a knee on his neck and get painted on a wall somewhere in a
year
week
is
or
this
two.
Supposed to be
now.
Current.
Now.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is Falcon's superpower? I don't think he has any.
He doesn't have any superpowers.
Wow,
whatsoever.
that's embarrassing.
He is he just has that suit. He's kind of like Iron Man in that way.
Yeah, he's like he's an elite athlete with a suit.
And perhaps military training?
Yeah, wasn't he training in like DC when Captain America lapped him, right? He was part of the military.
Yeah.
This guy seems like he's kind of like C tier. Like they send out the real heavy hitters. And so like the Hulk, I'm assuming if there's a real deal problem, the Hulk might be the guy that you get on the case. Whereas if there's a string of strong arm burglaries, the Falcon might be your man.
The Black Falcon is the man for that. I heard someone's been coming for the Swisher Sweets. Been strong arming you, have they? The Black Falcon's on it.
No, just a regular Falcon. I've got myself saying it.
Peach Swishers. Who would be strong arming Peach Swishers? I'm on it.
No, but I'm on the case. Because the Hulk
rolling
is
it up.
taking care of fucking China, you know.
Yeah.
And
Let
so
me.
I'm
I want to
Hulk is
lay
fighting a
out his
dragon.
superpowers because it's kind of funny. Here they are: limited telepathic and empathic control over birds, and the first openly HIV positive character is his nephew. Those are his claims to fame.
Wait, how does
You got to keep in mind.
his son
Okay.
or his nephew having AIDS? What?
HIV
That's in his,
positive.
That's in his power column.
Yeah.
What does that have? What?
That's why it's,
What you've got to keep in mind is
That he
when you read
dies.
the wiki, you're getting like, there's been lots of authors and lots of comic books written about these characters for like 30, 40 years in Falcon's case. And so clearly the HIV thing came from the 80s or the early 90s when they were trying to have some HIV awareness and acceptance because people were treating people with HIV like they had the Black Plague and like, you know, trying to keep them out of sports and stuff like that. And that's definitely what the era that little thing came from. Bird telepathy is hilarious, though. There's no way I can explain that one away and make it seem like anything
does he
other
use
than
it?
nonsense.
How
He
does he
doesn't
use
use it. He doesn't have it. Like that's something that happened in some weird comic book someone wrote. Like, yeah, maybe
I've never seen him use it either.
maybe like he's in the bird's mind because like he's the Falcon. So like, you know, the other Falcons, they like have a bond.
Man,
took
so
a
he
hit.
could.
They
So
have a
he,
bond
like,
with him.
so he would get like bullied by Aquaman for how useless
Oh,
his
so
power is.
well, they're in different
comparison.
universes, but if they did exist in the same,
Whoever the fish guy is in his universe is mocking the shit out of him.
yeah, that's
Neptune, fucking.
There should be one.
Neptune is a character as well, but that's irrelevant. No, it's who is the Marvel fish guy? It's
Submariner.
Submariner.
Namor the
Yeah.
Submariner. I don't know this person.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this
He
guy's
hasn't been
power
introduced.
sucks. There's only two things in that column you read. One is just a family relation and an illness. The other one is I would rather have no powers.
What are Kyle's superpowers? His father has hypertension, and
Yes, his superpower is dealing with heart disease in the future.
yeah.
So
What the fuck? Like
Man,
how does a
all these
relative?
wait, so they're just anyone can throw spaghetti at the wall and it'll make it into that. And the only things that have been drawn out of that hat to put on his Wikipedia page over these decades is that he has a nephew with AIDS and fucking birds. You would think that he would be written into a story in like let's say 1992 where he was really good at throwing blades or he was
Or
a
like he got
master swordsman.
exposed. Like
That's what
there's
I was
always.
somewhere along the way.
somewhere.
Yeah,
There's
right.
always a story
He got a
where,
little
like-
radiation, or he held a jewel, or something happened.
Or some sort of magic made him swap powers with a different hero. That's always happening, and like all
Anything
of a sudden,
at all.
yeah, never happened. Never happened. He's always just been black guy with a flyy suit.
Yeah, well, he sounds like they're either hitting the bottom of the barrel on heroes or they need to invent some more.
So, like, I hear you. Marvel does a pretty good job of taking heroes with wildly varied power levels and making them all useful members of the team. And
That
it's-
and like you know, different
Yeah, but-
heroes for different problems. So like you've got Daredevil, for example, who's also in the Marvel universe. Daredevil exists alongside Iron Man and Captain America and all those guys.
And so he's just never in the news. Ever.
No, yeah. So like in the Daredevil show, you saw the aftermath of like the Marvel movies where like half of New York is destroyed, you know, and like Daredevil isn't like, well, it's a good thing I was on vacation or I'd have jumped in there. He's just like, yeah, fucking aliens apparently came from the sky. I mean, I kicked the shit out of like thugs and strong arm robbers stealing Swisher Sweets, me and the Black Falcon. And
I also beat up the Black Falcon
Falcon.
sometimes because I have actual powers.
Yeah, even I call him the Black Falcon, and I'm blind.
Oh no, my enemy! It's the guy with a hammer that carries around a white noise machine. I'm doomed. Oh no!
Oh shit! It's MC Hammer.
Oh
He
my
plays
god!
rap music.
It's my biggest enemy. A house with surround sound in it. I'm hapless.
Kyle's right. They use different heroes for different problems. But even when, the problem is Thanos, they manage to make, the characters with weak powers useful.
I want to see Daredevil fight that superhero whose main thing is just wrapping himself in this sound dampening foam I've got behind me, and he's just like sneaking around and just like taking cheap shots at him.
He wears
No,
Crocs.
Daredevil. I enjoyed the Daredevil show. Like what happened there, it didn't get cut from what I understand because of low ratings. I think that Marvel was and Disney was like pulling all their properties close, and that was just another one of them that like, oh, Netflix, you think you own one of our things? You're only $100 billion company. We're $1 trillion whatever the fuck they are. They got to be
Something
enormous compared to
outrageous.
Disney. Yeah. So they pulled that in. It's a shame though. They had good casting. All those characters were cast well on that show, and I was digging it. But Netflix was kind of fucking up. I want to talk about Jupiter's Legacy on PKA. I'll save that for then. But I think Netflix is doing a decent job with some of the new shit they've made. Black Falcon.
What are
Wow.
you still reading? Stormlight Archive? Oh, go ahead.
I finished the first book today, actually. So what you would call the second book, I guess, but there's because you say there's 6, but on audiobooks it seems like there's 3.
It's 3. Yeah.
So I finished the first one.
Very nice. Are you enjoying it?
Yes, it took a little while to there's a part in there where it needed to heat up. You learn names even worse when you don't read them. But what's the chick's name who's the bad thief?
Shalon.
Yeah. She got boring for a while.
She did.
In the very beginning, her story was one of the most interesting to me. And you were like, whenever Shalon's segment comes up, I just try to read it fast to get through it. And I'm like, no, hers is the best, but I'm way behind you. I started to share your feelings on Shalon. She got dull. But turned it around.
Assured, she gets way better than she was even in the beginning. Her character gets a lot more interesting very quickly. Pretty much all the characters I like now. This guy, he
Kaladin killed a shard bearer and gave away the suit and the sword.
Mm-hmm.
That irritated me. So for people that
too.
don't know, there are these shard blades and shard armor. And the blade is like amazingly good. It goes through anything. It doesn't even cut you. It just like passes through you in like a ghost fashion. And I think that people's eyes get sucked out and they're emaciated and they just die. Am I pretty much on target here, Taylor? Yeah. And then the shard armor is hardly able to be damaged by regular weapons, So me in shard armor with the shard blade could take on perhaps 1,000 people with crossbows.
Until you get tired, and then they just that would be it.
But they can almost rest.
You just curl up in a ball and take a little nap.
Yeah. Like there's little eye slits that are an issue, and like some maybe by the knees or something. But basically,
I found my butthole flap. No.
So 2 shard bearers that sort of back each other up and know what they're doing can single-handedly about tie an army. It's not a guaranteed win, but there they are. A shard blade, the sword, is the most valuable thing. It's priceless. It like they described it as worth more than a city.
Yeah.
Like this sword's worth more than a city.
Yeah. So they can't make any more. They're like these. It's an ancient holdover, and it's like a spiritual thing. And so there aren't any more. They don't know how to make them. They don't know how to make the plates. It's like a Star Wars thing where they had all this technology a long time ago, or Star Trek, whatever it was. And the only way to get one is to kill someone who already has it, and to take theirs,
or
be
given it.
Or be given it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kaladin. Do I have his name right? Kaladin.
Yeah.
He's. I can't describe how low he is in the caste system. There's like at the top you have like kings and queens, and then you have like soldiers and useful people. Then below them maybe farmers, and below them there are slaves, and then below slaves there are these people that carry bridges, and their mission is literally to die. They buy slaves, they make them bridge carriers. And they are like distractions so that they don't shoot at people I consider more valuable. And they all just die. Kaladin is a bridge carrier. As the lowest, like, I can't put into words how there's nothing lower on Earth, right? Like I think animals are more useful.
Like there's like these slaves called like parshmen that are really valuable because they'll do whatever you say. They never talk back, and they don't use those for this duty because they're like, no, use a human slave. These are way too valuable. Just take like some crook and some criminal.
I honestly think someone might pay more for a donkey than a bridge carrier. Like they're very low. All right, so this bridge carrier kills a shard holder. I don't know what to call him. A shard soldier. Now he's earned his armor and his sword. And in this culture, this like in the universe here, if you kill one of them, you become what they call a light eyes, which is like a higher value. And I think it literally changes. I think your eye color literally changes. You get blonde hair and you become like a higher version of a human. Like you elevate to the top. And he turns it down. He's like, nah, he gave it to someone else. And I don't know what, if they were trying to say, oh, he's so not about rank that he gave away the highest rank even though he's lowest, then that he could have done more good with this stuff. Even if he just wanted to be the best person possible, doing it from the position of a light eyes would have been better. It frustrated me.
It frustrated me too in that part of the book because, and like this character is known for being, obviously he's very, very good with fighting because he killed someone with, basically a guy with like, a pistol killed a guy with a tank.
Sure.
So like he did that. And when he did like leave the armor and everything and just left and went back to like his shitty little life, I was like, well, this is annoying, but it gets really good. It ends up making sense a little more, so it makes a little, it's like a combination of why he turned it away. I won't say what it is, but
do they explain it in book 2?
It should be book 2. Yeah, book 2 they do, because I just started the first book of book 3 last night, so I'm on book 5 by mine.
So I just he already has his new job. I finished this book and listened to the epilogue. Yeah. Oh, and annoyingly, after the epilogue in the audiobook version, they read like the appendix to you.
That's in the back of all the books. It's just like, and then it's like Tolkien-esque, where it's like the 700-page tome ends, which is half of a book, and then you like flip and there's 40 more pages of like the drawings and like the classes, and he has so much lore that it's not like, and the 3 titans of blah blah blorf. It's like, and the 10 titans remained in the 10 cities, and every city had a tower with 10 levels, and every level of the tower had 18 rings, and the 18 rings, and then there are the 10 fools and every trait of fool, and it's like this guy clearly is.
So, how you don't text and drive, right? Like that's a bad idea, but maybe you have done it at one point. If you thought that it was the perfect situation,
all day, every day.
The don't text and drive thing is times 100 on a motorcycle. There's never a good time to text. So I don't even like change songs and stuff very often. And I'm listening, and I'm being driven mad as it says this audiobook starts reading the appendix, and they're like, sassafras plants are known to give people confidence. Rosemary plants are known to give people like feelings of boldness. And then they're just going through like all these different recipes and ingredients and what different rocks do. And I'm not retaining any of it. It was
I love fantasy stuff so much, but the first book, I got to the end of it and I'm like, oh, cool little appendix. I'll learn a little more about the universe. I get like 3 pages in and I'm like, I don't care. I don't fucking care. Let me know what's going on with
you listen to an audiobook and then they read the glossary to you in the back. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Are you can't be serious? This is part of the book.
Table of Con. Well, book 2 is way better than book 1. There's a lot more action,
As
a lot more.
3, your numbering system.
I'm saying it like yours now.
Oh, okay. Like, well, cool.
Book 2 is way better than book 1. There's a lot more shit going. All the characters get more interesting. The gang kind of starts to come together, so it's not as atomized, and that helps make it better. When I don't know, I like Dalinar a lot. He's one of my favorite characters in there.
Yes,
he's honorable guy,
almost like, too honorable.
Yeah, he is almost too honorable. But there's a twisted thing in him because he like puts on the front of like being very, very honorable, but he always pushes for what he wants. So he'll be like, I don't want to upset the king or the order, and then he does it anyway, or like whatever that is, So he's got an interesting dynamic. I'm loving this book series. I'm glad that I started it. I'm gonna,
you guys are gonna suck me in. More. Okay, it's
Stormlight Archive. Get the physical books. You can read way faster.
Yeah, we talked about that.
You can't multitask.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I got so much going on. It's like, God, I can't really. how am I going to do this if I'm reading books?
Yeah.
I'll get a book.
Well, it's like
Okay.
4,000 pages of good content. So a lot.
Although I do like to listen while I drive, like you said, like I do enjoy that. Like when I was super into Game of Thrones, like I was like, you know what? We're being rude. We're just gonna be rude. Like a girl would get in my car and she's like, hey, you want to listen to music? I'm like, I think I'd rather listen to chapter 37 of book 3 of A Song of Ice and Fire. You're right about there, right? She's like, a song of what now? And I'm like, Arya walked through the dark forest. It was darker than a forest had ever been before.
So where are we
And
getting
her
dinner?
quim was moist.
One of my
And she's just like, wait, what?
I've told this story before. One of my favorite parenting moves ever. Everyone thinks it's terrible, but I stick by it and think it's fucking awesome. Hope goes to high school like 30, 40 minutes from this house. She doesn't want to drive yet. So we have to drive her there. But it's hard on us because it's like 40 minutes there and 40 minutes back twice a day. That's a major like
So bizarre that
piece
she
of
doesn't
your
want to
day.
drive.
All right, yeah. She did one there next year she did. But anyway, so I had no like interest in making this a good drive. So I would just listen to Game of Thrones, which was just fucking
Perfect.
brutal. And I listened to it on the way home too. It wasn't like she could follow it.
Yeah, she's not keeping up. Yeah.
No. We're just kicking off at like halfway through book 3, and she
She's like,
misses.
wait, what happened to Joffrey? He's dead now? Don't worry. If you drove yourself to school, you'd know, wouldn't you?
That's about how it went. So she was there when the guy made that aru sounds.
How
which-
rude.
it was terrible. So anyway, I'll always admire
And I
myself
bought it on
for
discs.
that.
I bought the fucking discs. For some reason, I
Yeah.
thought that was more convenient. So like I had, I don't know why I thought
Why
that.
would you
but
think that?
I really don't remember why, but like I bought the discs, and so just one after another, I'm
So you got
plugging
your
them in.
Walkman and you're going around
Yeah, I got
town?
I got my Walkman. I actually bought the cassette tapes, and I had that converter. You know,
Damn it, when I try and run, it keeps skipping.
You remember that? Did you ever have one of the converters? It would go from your like personal CD player and turn into a cassette tape that you then plug into a car, so
Yeah.
you could play a CD in a car that didn't have a CD.
That's
player.
what I had in my first car, so I could listen to music. Yeah.
I did that,
Yeah.
but it was for an iPod in the
Okay.
Tacoma.
Okay, didn't even know that existed. Yeah.
Well, it was the same thing.
No,
yeah.
I get it. I just didn't know that like that one tech to. I didn't know they kept making those to the point that it was going from MP3 to cassette.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if it goes back any further. Is there one that plays on an 8-track player that's
But it's not a new tech. The
Maybe.
iPods used to have a headphone jack, so it's just the same
Yeah,
cassette you're
okay,
always talking
okay.
about. Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, do iPods have a headphone jack now? I know they removed it from the phones, those cocksuckers.
Surely they do. The fuck? Who wants to listen to music
do
wirelessly?
they make iPods anymore? It's all phones,
Yeah,
right?
God, sure.
I'm not even sure now. Maybe I'm.
They have to, because like you can get those iPods and they're like a little pack of matches. They're so little.
Yeah.
The iPod Mini. Remember
So
the
if you're
iPod
running,
Shuffle?
you just throw that thing on your shoulder, or like I'm surprised the music isn't stored in the earbuds at this point. Like, why is there even a device?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of that at the same time.
Harder to lose, or easier to lose, I guess. They'd be making
Perfect.
more.
You buy more of them.
Yeah.
It appears that the only thing there is an iPod Touch, which looks like a phone.
Okay.
I expected to see what Kyle talked to. Like, there's some like gym rats and stuff who really like the tiny ones. They wear it
Yeah.
as an armband.
Yeah, as an armband, it does like sports stuff as well. I have never owned an iPad, or excuse me, an iPod of any kind. I've never owned one. Whenever
I had the original, or not the original, the one that went like click, 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 like when you circle around.
Oh yeah, that had they called that something. Did they just call it a wheel? I feel like they had a cool name for it.
Yeah.
what was that
something
phone
like
I
that.
bought? So like when those were big, and like I'm probably like wrong about exactly when they were big, but it was 2005, around 2005. Like I was gonna buy a new phone, and I bought this phone at the time, and its thing with the Blackjack or something like that. I think it was called a Blackjack. Let me make sure that's the
BlackBerry.
phone. I
Okay.
definitely understand what Blackjack phone. Yeah, it was called the Blackjack. It was a
Okay.
Samsung Blackjack, and its thing in its commercials was like how much music it could store. And it was just like, it reminded me of like early of like the retro Apple advertising they do with like the people who are dancing around holding the device and everything like that. And it stores 85 fucking songs. Can you believe it? 85 or whatever it held. And so like that's what I got instead of any sort of Apple device. I was like, yeah, I want that fucking blackjack. That looks cool. It's like it was like, I guess it's a smartphone. Let me look at it again.
Kind of smart. It's got an LCD screen.
Yeah, it's got a little screen,
It had
which
the full
was
keyboard.
there weren't a lot like it reminded me of my friend's Palm Pilot and my other friend's BlackBerry, but it seemed like a younger person's phone that did music too, and it sort of like fit all those needs into one. And I got that thing, and it was just awful.
Just a
that
terrible
sucks.
phone.
No, it was fine. It worked great as a phone, but I don't think I ever put any fucking music on that thing.
Oh. Yeah, I've been doing iPhones since the second one. Didn't have the very first, but I had their second one, and I've been on the iPhone train ever since. I'm pretty happy there, I think. I feel like I tried Androids, determined that for me they were much worse, but that was a good 6 years ago and hardly relevant to what might exist now.
Yeah, it's so different now.
Yeah.
Is that a
Oh,
samurai
man,
in your
this-
background? I like that.
That is the Mandalorian. I got the Mandalorian in my background. I don't know. It's like I had this conversation with a young lady the other night. I was just like, "What's your iPhone do that my $100 Samsung doesn't?" This isn't me talking shit. I'm curious. I'm willing to I'll buy one if it does something that I can't do.
I think one of the big stumbling points that existed, I think it might have been 7 years ago, that the buying music situation was much worse. iTunes, the way that you bought and downloaded music, was just a much better experience than it was like Google Music and like something else, and it was kind of fractured, and I didn't understand. And I guess my phone was bought by AT&T, and they kind of fucked up Android, and I didn't know what was fucked up by AT&T and what wasn't because it was the only version I had seen. Now I would just have Spotify and Audible, and I would seamlessly go over. It'd be no big deal.
That's what I was gonna say. My dad's phone is a fucking mess. You know, like he doesn't know how to like delete apps or like, shuffle them around. So it's just page after page of apps, and he has to go to like page 87 or something to find like
And there's
his
like
contacts.
is it like 3 per page, like haphazardly placed?
No, every page is full. Every page is full of apps.
Stupid apps that he doesn't use.
I have 2 pages of apps, and like I have apps categorized. I'm sure all phones do this, but I didn't know until the other day. Like all your dating apps go into one little bubble, and it just calls it dating. Like all your music apps go into one little bubble, and it just calls it media or whatever. And I don't know. Like the front page of my phone has 4, 8, 12, 16 apps, and they're everything I ever use. It's everything I ever use. It's, I'm not going to go through my fucking apps, but,
Yeah.
it's all I need.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use Spotify for music. I'm not anti-Apple at all. I don't give a fuck if they make them with slave labor or monkey labor. It doesn't make a difference to me. I don't care how much they cost even. Although I do think like, shit, this phone's $150. I don't need a case. If I drop it, it's probably about time to get a new one anyway. Like I get one every year for $150, and they all do the exact same shit. And usually, like $150 buys a better camera every year. Like the phone's better every year, but the same price.
Yeah, I need a new phone. I've had the Samsung forever.
I need to get mine fixed.
Really just starting to not work.
I do a big group plan with Kitty, like a business plan or some shit. And whenever I like drop my phone and shatter it inevitably every year, I'm just like, hey, broke the phone, time for a new one. She's like, all right, well, you can get a blah, blah, blah and a blue, blue, blue. And I'm just like, $175. That's where I top out. Find me the best phone. Like whatever they've got, $175 is the most
I
I'll
can't
pay.
have this cutting into my suit budget.
Yeah, it's cutting into my fucking suit budget. It's just like that's what I think a phone's worth at this point in my life. I think phones are worth $175, and I don't see any reason to pay more. If someone shows me a reason, I'll happily pay $2,000. You show me a phone that's worth $2,000, I'll spend it. I just haven't seen it yet. You show me that phone that's got a holographic keyboard that pops out in front of me, and I can type fucking 90 words a minute on thin air, or it does like I can press a button and it'll throw up a hologram of like my videos, or even a display on the wall or some shit. If I could take a video from my phone and then display it onto a wall like a projector, I'll pay for any of those things, even if it made a little hologram right above the phone that was like almost like wireframe of one of my videos or something like that I'd shot. I'd pay for that. But if they're like, oh, it's a millisecond faster now. It's like, what? Speed is not my concern. Calculations per second don't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just needed to have the internet and maps and be able to call and text.
Internet,
That's about
maps,
all I fucking use.
to call people.
I replace my phone
Email.
because the battery died. Yeah, usually it's like, you know what? This thing used to run for like 8 hours, 12 hours, and now it sucks. It runs for 3 hours. It goes from 43% battery to 0 in a snap, and it's time for a new phone.
Samsungs get slow. Like the way old laptops used to. Like it's time for a new laptop. This thing is like you're like hitting the keys, like what the fuck? Like my Samsung from like 2 gens ago, I would click an app and the app would like open.
Oh, you could see
and
it.
I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? All right, it's time for a new phone. This is bullshit. Like you're struggling to open WhatsApp or Snapchat or whatever. Like
that's where I'm at right now. Like I opened up my Outlook on my email, and it was like I was in the middle of responding to something, and it just like just froze and then went away, like force closed it, and it's like, all right, I should probably just get the new phone. I'll just get an iPhone this time.
I have a modern iPhone, but
it's my phone doesn't text well with my friends who have iPhone. Like everybody, all my closest friends that I text with all the time, it's like 8 of us in there. All of them have iPhones except for me, and so like all the time there's miscommunications, and like I won't get a text that one of them sent, or they won't get a response that I did in the group chat. It's just fucking annoying. It's not worth it.
Oh, I was told that my I was a little confused by the text message, but I was told that my high school team, I think, went to the state championships for baseball.
Oh, cool.
The other day. Lost.
Did you go to the game?
You fucking thing. I didn't even know. My mom texted me and she's like, yeah, we went to the state championships. And it's like a picture of her and her friends at the game. And I'm just like, how'd it go? Lost 1-0. I'm just
1-0. That sucks.
1-0. What a boring ass game.
Baseball.
That's soccer.
Speaking of scores, how'd you enjoy that sweep last week, Taylor?
Whew. Not good. Now I gotta jump on board with the Avalanche and hope that they make it all the way, make us look a little better. It was awful. That was the worst series I've ever seen.
All right, it's Monday. I got to make sure I watch one of these Avalanche Blues games, and I like pull it up, and it's like Avalanche sweep the Blues out of the playoffs, four games straight, and I'm just like, fuck, I missed it. They swept them over the weekend. Holy shit,
dude! Watching the games, like I didn't even want to watch like the third and fourth one because it was like
I know how you feel.
It was like, who are these people? They're like, and Santini passes it for who the hell is that guy? Like, who is that? Because like, traditionally a team will have
St. Louis
6
AHL team.
They'll have 6 defensemen, right?
Former hot dog salesman Mark Hunt is coming out to as a forward for the Blues tonight.
Yeah. Usually you have 6 defensemen, except we didn't have Dunn, we didn't have Gunnarsson, we didn't have Falk, and we didn't have Bortuzzo for games 3 and 4. And so literally it was like 2 NHL defensemen and 4 other guys. And then it just didn't work at all. Our best point, Perron, was out the whole time, and he ended up. I guess he was bummed. He's like, I had COVID, but it was frustrating because it's like I didn't even feel that bad, but I kept like getting tested over and over, and I kept coming back. It's just a fucking shame. I might have been able to come back for Game 5, and it's like, well, that's not going to happen because they got eliminated in 4. So. This was a fucking terrible season for the Blues.
Sorry about that, man.
They won the cup 2 years ago. This is the payment for that. But I mean, their man games lost, which is how they gauge injuries. Like the only team even close to the Blues this year is the Anaheim Ducks, and the Anaheim Ducks are the second worst team in the NHL. Like, and so for the Blues to make it, I would have rather them just sucked and gotten a slightly better draft pick. But that's not what I was thinking going into the playoffs because we had Bortuzzo and Falk and Perron. And so I was like, it'll be a long shot, but we might be able to do something. And then as soon as that evening happened, right before the game 1, where it's like, your best player, yeah, he's out forever. Really? Okay, well, this is bad news. So Team Avalanche and Team Hurricanes. Hurricanes play tonight. Their series is tied 2-2 with the Nashville Predators. So
good luck.
Hope they can seal it up. Well, not seal it up tonight, but yeah, it'll be fun.
In 2 days, for you listeners, we're going to be talking a little bit of Jupiter's Legacy. It's a show on Netflix. I love it. Woody hates it. I want you people to watch it. I want I want more opinions because I could be wrong here. I liked it a lot. It's a superhero show, so don't even look, Taylor. You don't want to see this. It's check it out. I thought it was quite good. It's hard to compare it to Invincible. I'll say this: I enjoyed it more than Invincible. I don't think it's better than Invincible. There's a big difference.
There's so many things I'd rather be doing than watching that show. I watched it all. I saw the whole thing. It was terrible.
Hates it.
So it takes place. There's like a sort of modern thread and then a flashback thread.
To the 30s.
The modern thread was bad, but the flashback thread was really bad.
The modern thread is good. The flashback thread is great.
I'm struggling because I'm like, I know Kyle's smart, but he's providing evidence to the contrary because he's liking the dumbest thing to have ever been so fucking. We'll save it for PKA.
It's real good. Fucking, there's brains and entrails there's lots of hot women wearing spandex, and there's drugs, daddy issues, fucking shirtless dudes if you're into that sort of thing.
These are my favorite things. I still didn't like it.
Most of the original comic book, the original hero's like 130 years old or something like that. But because they're Supermen, they've aged pretty well. They look like it's good.
Jupiter needs a haircut. Don't know what that's
Jupiter
about.
really needs a haircut. He looks like a bum.
Yes.
Or Mr. Utopia, that's his name. Yeah, give it an episode if you're out there and you're on the edge. If you really like superhero shit, I think you can add this one to the bit. I was burnt out on superhero shit. I didn't want to watch it, but I was like, let's give it a try. And I was like, I'm going to watch it until I don't like what I'm seeing. And 8 hours later, I was done with the whole series. I just binge watched the whole thing in one sitting, ruined my sleep schedule. So yeah, check it out if you want to. We're going to talk about it a little bit on PK. It'd be good if you went into it not having to avoid spoilers and maybe being like, oh no, Woody's absolutely right. That show is garbage, blah, blah, blah. And there's no squirrel people. Nope, there are no tits, and I feel like they don't say fuck enough. Those are my gripes.
Fair criticisms. PKN 353.